Well. Hey, y'all, how y'all doing? Y'all doing all right? I know I'm not going to be able to hear you say that, but I hope that you're doing wonderful in the times that we are living in. It's your girl, Nelly D, and welcome to the Nelly Drayton Show, where creatives gather to go beyond and try to figure it out. I got LOL Probably Drew with me at LOL Probably Drew on IG. Show him some love.
Thank you for that lovely introduction, honey. And what kind of co-host would I be if I did not introduce the host? That is the Nelly Drayton, known as Nelly Drayton across all social media platforms. Please show her some love, y'all.
Show me some love. So we about to be like Nike and just do it. So let's get into it.
All right, now.
Bars.
That new intro. Okay, what's up for discussion today, vibes?
Child, so we were talking about some stuff off cams and off mics yesterday. We were talking about Celine Dion, Katy Perry, Chris Brown, Jonathan Majors. I mean, so many different things. Katy Perry's music video comes out within like 1 second from us recording.
Literally. Yeah.
And I'm genuinely curious to see how it's gonna do on YouTube, because it's there was some uproar comments about who the music is for.
Girl. And that whole thing has been just engulfed in controversy, honey.
See, and that's where, again, just so you guys are aware, if you've never listened to any of our other episodes, just to keep you on track, Drew is the plugged in girly, right? And I'm the
Very
unplugged.
So. I am too plugged in. Like, you know when people say, oh my God, let me call the plug. They're calling me because I am the plug when it comes to anything that's just not even important. I know about it. I know more about it than what a person should know about it. That's me.
Well, again, at the Nelly Drayton Show podcast, Drew's the plugged-in one, I'm the unplugged one. And if you didn't listen to any of our other episodes except, this one, then you're going to hear it. You're going to hear it. You're going to hear it, and you're going to know that he's the investigator. And I'm just the one what would we say? Like good cop, bad cop? Who would be the good cop?
You offer a perspective, like an outside perspective. We'll say that.
Okay.
You offer an outside, unbiased perspective.
Ooh, okay. It's crazy because with the personal stuff that we've been talking about when it came to like not my father, Lordy B, my daughter's father, and how the conversation I had with a family member and how he was saying like to take out the biases and stuff like that, and I was like, what? I've never. Again, this is actually kind of bad, but I never heard of that word ever.
By taking out like bias.
Yeah.
I mean, it's important if you really truly like treasure like learning and knowledge. It is really important to like not have biases, because then the opinion you're getting is going to be framed in a very particular way, and that really isn't growth, So it's really important to have like unbiased opinions and views about things. That way, that's why like when I talk to you about stuff, I always like preface it like, girl, like this is why I'm saying what I'm saying because of my history. That way, it's like it's not just me giving you like unsolicited advice. It's like I'm offering a perspective that's like that's where it's coming from. You know what I'm saying? That way, like I'm not framing what I say in a way that's supposed to be like lead you to believe something. I'm letting you know, like, girl, this is my hang up. This is why I'm saying what I'm saying. Period.
Yeah.
That makes any sense.
It does. It makes a lot of sense. I've taken notes, and I've learned over these last couple of weeks, these last couple of months with my personal problems that's been constantly trying to come to the forefront of everything else that I got going on. So I've learned that my open-minded personality kind of gives me that, I feel like it gives me that automatic gift to be unbiased about a lot of things. And because I've been unplugged since birth, I mean, honestly, it's just, you see what I did there?
Yeah.
It's just due to just
joke. Love that.
It's just due to I feel like being sheltered, because that's really what it was. So the perspective regarding Katy Perry, I'm to be completely honest and 100 when it comes to the songs that I listen to or the type of music I listen to, Katy Perry
is not in that rotation. Got it. Yeah. Yeah. No. Look, I knew where you were going with this. I got you, babe. Got it.
Actually, I only have like 3 songs by Katy Perry on my phone.
Look, no hate, no shade. Katy Perry, I would say up until the demographic that Katy Perry has like catered to is not people who look like you and I. Okay, let's just make it very clear.
Oh,
never has, never will be. That she is not making music for you and me.
Oh, bars. Ooh.
Okay,
that was a hot bar. That's crazy because I feel like, in a way,
I like her. I like Katy Perry. I do. I like Katy Perry. I like her. I like her last album. I actually really liked it.
Okay.
I mean, I listened to it and I really liked it.
Okay. I don't know what the last album is, but I'm just again telling.
I think it was a Smile album.
Yes, I lost that. The only song. Okay, the 3. I'll give you guys just a little tidbit. The songs that I like by Katy Perry are old songs, and one of them is "Thinking of You," "Wide Awake," and what's the "Teenage Dream"? I think that's it. That's all like she gets from me.
Make me feel like I'm living. Does it even like that? Does that sound like I'm like singing a rock song?
Kind of, but I don't. I guess I grew up. I mean, those are songs that I listen to walking to the bus stop. So unfortunately, I'm just gonna listen to them songs for life because it just refreshes that memory for me.
Yeah. I mean, she definitely like makes music for people who like need to heal their childhood. Like that's definitely the kind of music that Katy Perry makes. Like when I listen to Katy Perry's music, I get teleported back to like the days where I used to like. I don't know if you ever had like an alarm clock, but did you ever have like an alarm clock that had like a radio on it?
Yes.
Girl,
yes, I have.
Whenever I listen to Katy Perry's music, it takes me back to the days where I used to listen to music like in my room on my alarm clock, like trying to do homework, like living this like little teenage fantasy. That's what happens when I listen to Katy Perry. Because Katy Perry just like makes music for like people who like still talk about like the accolades they had when they were in high school. Like, Katy Perry makes music for people who always talk about, well, when I was in high school, and like, ma'am, you're 35. We're not. No, ma'am. Yeah. Your teenage dream has turned into a horrible nightmare, babe. Wake up.
Oh.
Wake up.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. All right, let's get into it. Katy Perry. So, for those who do not know, Miss Katy Perry, Katie Hudson is her name, but her name is Katy Perry. I guess now her name would be who's that man that she's married to?
She's married?
Honey, yeah.
I didn't know she was married. Hold up, wait a minute. Let me put some boom in it.
What's his name? I can't think. He was in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Russell Brand?
No, she was married to him back in like 2009.
Oh, not you get in the. I wish my camera was on right now because literally that's the year. You were spot on with that.
Girl, how many instances do you need for you to like not be surprised that I know these things? I talk crap about everyone and everything, but people think that like I don't like things. No, let me make it very clear to you people. We are about to dive into this Katy Perry situation. Do not think this is a Katy Perry hating session. I do not hate that woman. I like her music. I like Katy Perry. I know things about people. Well, I know things about celebrities. People that do not know me, do not care about me, will never know me, will never care about me. But I'm obsessed with like celebrity. I'm obsessed with like the idea of celebrity. I love it. It's fascinating. I think those people are morally corrupt. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And it's like, when I look at like celebrity stuff, it is like a case study. Because it's like, these people are so far detached from like any kind of like normalcy. And that does come with the territory. Because, I mean, could you imagine walking out of your home and having flashing lights in your face and you have to like sneak around and do anything like shopping or going to the doctors. Could you imagine?
Oh, no, I can't.
Like,
No.
so of course you're going to be a little detached from normalcy because your life is not normal. You can't do anything that I can walk out of my home right now, no shoes, no hat, walk down the street, and not a glance would be looked at me. But God forbid, like Katy Perry does that, suddenly she's having a meltdown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I get it. But anywho, we have gone off topic.
She's 39 years old. So the husband is Orlando Bloom, or partner.
Yes.
Orlando
Bloom. That's that. I can't remember his name, but yeah, that's she. So I guess her name would be Katy Bloom. But anyways, Katy Perry. So the reason why we're talking about Katy Perry today is because Miss Perry has decided to create another album. Love that. We support that. And the song is called Woman's World. And before we get into the controversy that you want to talk about, let's talk about the overall controversy that I think is probably what people are going to click on this for if we put in the headline that we talk about Katy Perry. So, one of the reasons why a lot of people have been giving Miss Katy Perry a lot of flack is because she is working with a producer named Dr. Is it Dr. Luke?
That's what I was seeing. Yes, I was seeing captions with that.
So you're probably, for those who aren't plugged in, like my host here, Dr. Luke is a producer who has a huge name in the industry. He's made huge hits, and he also has quite an infamy attached to him as well because he has had a lot of allegations of like sexual misconduct, sexual abuse to artists, to other people. The most famous situation that has been linked to him is the situation with Kesha, who also, mind you, let me tell you, Kesha also just put out a song like last week. So I think I be plugged in, really plugged in. I think Kesha was clapping back because she like wore a t-shirt, like paparazzi took pictures of her and she was wearing like a t-shirt and it said LOL wow or LOL really or something like, and I think that was a response to Katy Perry working with Dr. Luke. So Kesha and Dr. Luke, just a little backstory. Also, just making a little announcement. I really do mess with Kesha. I love Kesha. I love Katy Perry. Dr. Luke can rot. Don't care about him. But those two ladies, love them. I've always loved Kesha. You can fact check that. But anyways, so Kesha and Dr. Luke, there was a huge thing. So I think Dr. Luke may have a record label. Maybe he has something, and him and Kesha had some kind of contract, and I guess they had some kind of situation, a personal situation that made their professional relationship really, really challenging, to the point to where I believe that Kesha was trying to like release music and make music, and Dr. Luke was kind of like silencing that, because there was a moment where we didn't hear from Kesha for a while, and it was mainly due to the situation between her and Dr. Luke. So she came out publicly and had stated that she had sexual misconduct situations with Dr. Luke. That had a whole thing. She went to court. It got settled somehow, but I don't think it settled in Kesha's favor, unfortunately. I guess there was just not evidence to support her claims. And therefore, in court, you can't just go in a courtroom and say that he did this, and if there's no evidence, there's just no evidence. Doesn't make it untrue, but that's how the law works. You have to have evidence to back up what you say, or have evidence to prosecute someone. That's just how the law works. So I guess there was no evidence. Didn't happen. So fast forward to the year of 2024. Miss Katy Perry decided that she wants to release a song. The thing that is crazy to me, which I don't, she has done a lot of questionable things in her career. I don't understand it. I never will understand it. But she publicly announced that she worked with Dr. Luke on this record. That to me was a weird flex. Like, why are you sharing to the world that you have worked with this man? Now, if Katy Perry worked with this man and like didn't tell anybody, I would say, okay, I get it. I wouldn't want to announce to the world that I worked with this man either. But at the end of the day, a lot of people choose all the time to separate like art from their artists. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, for example, R. Kelly. I think anyone in the room right now can agree that the things that R. Kelly has done is like terrible, detestable, gross, disgusting.
Of
right?
course.
But am I gonna like always turn an R. Kelly song off just because of R. Kelly?
Unfortunately,
maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe I really like that song. Maybe it really meant something to me at the time that I heard it, and it has a sentimental value to me. And so maybe I don't want to do that. People all the time separate art from artists. And so
that is true.
In the sense of Katy Perry working with Dr. Luke, I think if she worked with him and just decided like, okay, we're just gonna keep this like on the low, because he probably didn't even need to get the credit. I mean, he probably would have shown up in like her, the credits for the actual music. Like if people went to go look into it and search for it, I'm sure that it would be found there. But I wouldn't have publicly announced that I work with this man. Even if he is a super talented man, like I just wouldn't do that. I mean, that man has a lot of like history with women and inappropriate history with women. And then the irony of it's the irony because the name of the song is called Woman's World. Mm-hmm. And you worked with a man who literally silenced a woman for years.
Yeah, that's creepy.
It's the irony for me, And so, like, I think that's why people were like, girl, you are a Looney Tune, bro. Like, what are you doing? Why, what made you think that this was, like, the flex? Because you worked with a man on a record called, well, not even just a record, the album itself. I think the whole album, her and him collaborated to some extent on. But namely, this record, she definitely endorsed that she had worked on this record with this man. And it's just the irony. And I think that's why people were like calling her out, because it's like, girl, the elephant in the room is like literally right in your face and you just like are ignoring it. It's crazy.
Oh, Lord, not the elephant in the room.
How can you do that? So that's the main controversy with Miss Katy Perry. Now, open for discussion. Any thoughts on that?
So what I'm gathering based off of your information and what I'm seeing here on the interwebs is that a lot of people are not pleased, as so are you, clearly. A lot of people are not pleased with her decision, especially announcing it. She went live, I believe, on Instagram, it looks like. I don't know where she went live at. She went live on something to address it or to announce it, and people are very displeased with that. And there was a comment that I lost because I was scrolling way too fast. Okay. Someone said Teenage Dream was such a successful album for her, but at the end of the day, she's a sellout. She sold off her rights to her own music, sat as a judge on a struggling show for a huge payday, now works with a predator. She's done. And it's like, ooh, whoa. So it matches what you're saying and all the information that I'm gathering. And it kind of sucks because it kind of goes back to what you're saying about separating the artist from the art. I don't know anything about this woman. I don't know. All I know is Teenage Dream and Wide Awake and Thinking of You. Oh, and those are songs that I listen to. Those are songs I listened to when I was in middle school going to high school. So I'm not, I feel for the people that are very displeased and just not happy with her decision. I feel for you guys because it says a lot about a person. And if you struggle with taking the artist away from the art, then you're going to struggle. You're just going to struggle. And I don't know I really wouldn't know how to deal with that personally. Because we're going to talk about Chris Brown.
We are going to get to that Chris Brown bit. We sure are. Another side of the whole Katy Perry thing, and then we'll move on, is you saw some discourse on the interwebs yesterday about how Katy Perry and this song Woman's World doesn't cater to every woman in the world.
To all women. Yep.
To all women. And I mean, then that kind of, just to kind of, backpedal a little bit. Didn't I just say before we got into this topic that Katy Perry does not make music for people like you and me?
Yes. Yes, she did.
She doesn't. And I had this conversation with my friends the other day. Not the other day. It was actually a while back. But we were talking about Taylor Swift. Mind you, Taylor Swift is like not my artist. But I respect Taylor Swift as an artist. But in the same breath, as a person who like, I really like live in my blackness to an extent. Obviously, I kind of. Well, hear me out. I'm a little bit of a chameleon.
I'm not saying this. No, I'm listening to you, and I pressed play and just fast forward through the music video to skip the beginning because that's what was previewed the most on the internet before the actual video went live. And I saw a black woman, and she did not look good. But go ahead. I'm mad. I'm very upset right now.
Anyways, moving on. You messed me up, girl. I lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Lost where I was going.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry. It's the fact that representation. Okay, so at 2:29 in the music video, Woman's World, she walks up with whatever is on her legs. I just ignored that part. I probably shouldn't, but this is how I know that I've outgrown her completely. She walks up to a black girl doing a TikTok, and then she joins and does a TikTok with her, and then takes the stand where her phone is connected. You know how people have those, what are they called? I'm a filmmaker and I already forgot what these devices are called. A tripod. Yes. Oh my God. So the little tripod with the ring light with the phone connected to it, she just picked it up and walked away. And I'm like, ooh, that reminds me of all the times that Black creatives create something and no one really sees it until a white person does it.
That's a perspective.
Because she just did. That's what she just did. She just took the tripod ring light. Oh, well, never mind. It's supposed to look like a symbol, the sex symbol. Whatever. Doesn't matter. She still took it. Doesn't matter. She still took it. Anyways. I'm sorry. That just made me so mad. Like, I'm like, oh, I just saw that immediately. Like, you just joined in and dance with this black girl doing a TikTok trend. And then you're deciding to take the device with you. That's cute. It's like you're trying to get credit for it. Okay. But anyways, I apologize for interrupting your thoughts.
No, you were talking about. It's gone.
You were talking about. Well, you were talking about how she doesn't represent it. Like the music that she makes is not for us. Ultimately. Yeah. So it's like.
The point that I was making, it's lost on me now.
Oh, okay. Well, again, apologies. I apologize for real because this video, I shouldn't even be trying to watch it right now. Like it really just made me so mad and I don't know why. I do know why, but I don't want to say too much because I want to watch it with the song and I want to look at the lyrics. So it's one thing I've always done in the past is break down lyrics because if the music does not resonate with me lyrics wise, I can't get jiggy with it. I just can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
But she's, that video just, it's putting a little bad taste in my mouth. That's all I can say about that. If you guys haven't watched it yet, do I encourage you to watch it? Sure, why not? I mean, if you have 2 minutes and 56 seconds to, or wait, is that how long it is? It is 2 minutes and 50. Okay, yeah. So if you have 2 minutes and 56 seconds to waste, go right ahead. I mean, it's probably going to trend here on YouTube in a second because
so
I refreshed it and it went from 1,000 to 3,000 in a second. So that kind of scares me a little bit.
It's gonna get a lot of traction for sure. And that's probably why a lot of celebrities do stuff like that. Like it's probably why she announced it. So people were gonna like flock to this video to see the irony of you announcing you worked with a man who previously silenced a woman and has now collaborated on a record with a woman that has the title of Woman's World. Oh yeah, people are going to be flocking to that.
So what is this man's title? For somebody who doesn't know who this guy is, Dr. who?
Dr. Luke.
Who is this man?
He's a music producer.
Okay.
He's produced like huge hits. A lot of people have worked with him. I couldn't even begin to tell you like his catalog as far as like who he's worked with and whatever. He's been in the game for a long time. I've heard about Dr. Luke for years. So he's been working for a long time. He works with a lot of people. I just don't think one of the reasons why you probably haven't heard of him is because after that whole Kesha thing, like he really kind of like people were not announced that they were working with him. I mean, he obviously has still been working, but I think people were just like, we're gonna like work with him. We're gonna keep it low key. Because to be honest, I mean, how many times do you go and look at a person's like credits on their music?
Say that question again.
how often do you go look at a person's credits on their music?
Oh, that's a really good question. Not a lot,
you don't.
but
No, a lot of very few people will go look at someone's credits on their music, and that's why he probably has been working behind the scenes for years now. Because if people just don't go and announce that they work with Dr. Luke, he'll get paid. He just don't get the recognition for it.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
So, yeah. I mean,
people,
if you don't tell people, I mean, that's why sometimes it's crazy that people don't realize, like, well, maybe more in the rap community that it's more kind of blown out of the water a little bit, that there's people who write music for people. Mm-hmm. I think it's kind of crazy sometimes when you hear your favorite artist like didn't even write their songs, like namely like a big person who like does not write their own music, and I hate to say this because this is my girl. Rihanna does not write a lot of her music. I think the album that she wrote the most on was Anti.
Yeah.
I think she has more writing credits on that album than any other album. And even on that album, she did covers of songs. Songs were written for her. She probably collaborated and like added her own little flavor to it. But I don't think Rihanna has ever been celebrated for being a songwriter.
Really?
I don't.
What about the album that had "Stupid in Love"? Because she mentions Katy Perry in that song, if I'm not mistaken. There's a part where she's like,
she probably didn't write it.
So I made it, even though Katy told me that this would be nothing but a waste of time, and she was right. Don't understand it, blood on your hands, and da na 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 na. That song, "Stupid in Love." What album is that? Now I got to do more research. Well, anyways, let's trickle on down to who is an associate of Katy Perry and Rihanna. Dun, 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 dun. Chris Brown. Chris Brown is in the field. The young boy just turned 18 and I got woo. Anyway. Yeah, I don't listen to a lot of his songs. I hate to be that person, but I'm going to be that person because I'm forever unplugged and I'm going to get that tatted on my back one day. I just don't feel the need to be plugged into that man. Now, yes, he hurt Rihanna. Yes, it happened years ago. It happened when he was a teenager or a young adult or whichever category you would like to put him in. Is this abusive past going to follow him throughout his whole career? Dun, dun, dun.
That's a good question. So, we briefly discussed this yesterday. I say briefly, but I went on like a little rant.
You did.
We discussed this, and it's actually funny that we're discussing this because I'm pretty sure me, you, and two of my other friends, we had this discussion at her house. When you came over that one time and we were like, drinking and having a good time.
Oh, yes.
I think we had this discussion there too. And like the thing about it is I think a lot of people, and I'm not calling anybody out here. I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just speaking on the way that I navigate these kind of situations. I know a lot of information about these people. I know a lot of information about Chris Brown. I know a lot of information about Rihanna, of course. I know a lot of information about this incident. And that's why, like, my informed opinion about it is what it is because I know a lot of details about these people. What I don't like is people who know that something happened and that's all they know about it, and then they form an opinion about it. And like I said, I'm not calling anybody out. It's just not what I like, because to me it's like, the way I see it is like, what if I was like walking around, like say I go down to the bar and I run into an ex, right? And I see him, he sees me, and we, exchange some glances. And then I go and try to meet up with some people that maybe I don't really know all that well, but, they're like associates, right? Or acquaintances. I know of them, they know of me, but we're not like friends. And maybe I try to go have a conversation and they kind of treat me cold because they heard what my ex had to say about me. And it's like, well, that's not fair because you're not giving me a chance. You don't know me all that well, and you only heard one side of it, and you have just made a decision based off of very little information.
Yeah.
That would make me feel terrible. And so when I see the situation with Chris Brown and Rihanna, I know what happened. I've watched the documentary that Chris Brown did. I've watched interviews that Rihanna did, and they both were hurt in that situation. Granted, she was physically hurt, but he was emotionally hurt, and he was having hurt from his childhood being like brought up right there in real time and didn't know how to cope with it. I mean, that's the fact of the matter. Mm-hmm. And what people don't know, and this is why I have a really hard time with like a lot of people's opinion about the situation, what people don't know is that Chris Brown did not contest anything in court. He accepted it. He was guilty. He pled guilty. He accepted whatever consequences he had. He did not go in there. He did not try to argue with her. He did not try to get a lesser sentence. Nothing. Whatever they were going to charge him with and he had to do, he went in there and he did it, and he was a man about it. And that's why when people have an opinion about Chris Brown, it really bothers me, because there are men out here who will do this, and they will justify themselves, and they will defend their actions and their behaviors, and they'll blame a woman day in and day out. And here you are, you have a man who made a mistake and has owned up to that mistake. And guess what? You know what he could have done? He was a very successful artist at the time. He could have walked away from the industry and probably would have been okay. Mm-hmm. But he didn't. He said, I know people are going to have a feeling about me. I know people are going to have their thoughts about me, but I'm doing this because it's what I love to do. It's like my passion. It's my calling. I want to make music. I love to make music, and that's what I'm going to do. And he has done it. He has been an artist that has stayed true to himself in every ugly side of that, every pretty side of that, every transition and change that has happened in his life. He has stayed true to owning up and living his truth. And point me to another celebrity who does that. Yeah. Let me know, because these celebrities will get on the internet and they will get on their hands and knees and beg for forgiveness and justify and plead their case to whoever wants to hear it to get off the hook so they can maintain their career. And he did not do that. And let the record show, he was young and she was young, and they were two young people. And I've said this time and time again, I would love to hear someone tell me that they want to be held accountable for the action they chose to do when they were young. Because we've all made mistakes. We've all been young and dumb and made dumb decisions and dumb things. Now, in the grand scheme of things, I don't agree with his actions, of course, because he hurt my mother. I don't respect that. He hurt Mom, and that's not okay by me. Okay? And I know some people on his defense, they'll be like, well, him and Rihanna are good. That doesn't matter. That's between him and Rihanna. That's between him and Rihanna. They got to do with us. If people want to hate, and that's another thing. If people want to hate Chris Brown, that's fine. My thing is like, hate Chris Brown for that action and let it be that, you know? Like, I just don't support a man hitting a woman. Cool. Great. Don't
try to tie it to his music.
Yeah. Don't talk to me about how I shouldn't be listening to his music and supporting him because of what he did. Well, you know what? You have people in country music who say racist stuff all the time, and people still listen to him. You have people like Dr. Luke who can still work after proving that he abuses people, whether it be sexually, emotionally, mentally, it doesn't matter. What he did to Kesha was not right, but he's still allowed to work. He's still allowed to do what he did. So if Chris Brown wants to make music, let that man make music. If you don't want to support his music, fine. Don't come in my yard talking about you should be supporting him.
Who's coming in your yard? Oh my God.
Because you already know I stand 10 toes down on anything that I'm like behind. So don't do it because
I know how to do them.
Don't do it.
I use that snippet from one of our episodes.
Music. I love his music. I love his journey. Like, in me and you, we had a difference of opinion on his last interview with that one gentleman. I can't remember his name, but he's been kind of writing.
Oh, with Funny Marco?
Yes. Yes. You didn't like it. You said it made you feel creepy. I actually really liked it. I thought it really like.
No, I didn't. If I said that it was creepy or anything like that, it was more along the lines of what kind of performance is this? Because one thing I've noticed, like with Funny Marco, is that what some people are not seeing or picking up is that he does that. He's just a weird person. and it comes off as funny, and therefore now he is a comedian. Obviously, do we know the details or his origin story and things like that? No. So when I was watching the video, I was like, why is Chris Brown like being weird? Because I say he's being weird because he was talking to Funny Marco, and Funny Marco asked him a question. I don't remember the specifics, but he said something to him, and Chris Brown could not look him in the eye. Like, he was hesitant about it and like stared at him and then looked away. And I don't know, something about that, like when people do that, it gives me, I tie it to what I've experienced when it comes to men who do that. That's why I said weird, because I immediately tied it to like, I've noticed a guy that did that before, and something was off with him. And later I found out just how much he was off and how loose his screws were. So it wasn't like I would, I thought it was a very amusing, it was entertaining. It's what it's designed to be. It's entertainment. So it entertained me. But weirder, I guess that's probably where.
I really, because the thing about celebrityism that I really, really appreciate is when they kind of like show us that they can be a little bit vulnerable, because I feel like celebrities have to kind of have like a little bit of distance between us and them, because like there's a reason for it. And so when celebrities, especially like Beyonce, like whenever we get a glimpse of like Beyonce's life, like I'm not even like a Beehive member, I mean, I love Beyonce. Like, I really love Beyonce. I really, really do. But I wouldn't consider myself like a Beehive. I'm definitely a Navy. I'm definitely like, I'm a Navy member, but I'm not a Beehive. But
so Rihanna is your mother and Beyonce is your auntie.
Yeah, very much that. That. Yes. Okay. Love that. So yeah. But anytime I get a glimpse into like Beyonce's life, like, I'm literally like, if someone says, if you want to look at 5 seconds of Beyonce's real life, you have to kill a person, I feel sorry for the person who's going to be next to me, because they're going down. Because I will love to see 5 minutes, 5 seconds, 5 nanoseconds of Beyonce's real life. Because that one, I mean, it's just like, she's so inspirational. She's so like magnificent. Like, I just want to see where it comes from. And with like Chris Brown, granted, I mean, hardly want to even compare the two, because my feelings for Chris Brown aren't even on a caliber that could be close to how I feel about Beyonce. But I always appreciate when a celebrity kind of gives us a glimpse of like some vulnerability. And in that interview, although it was silly and goofy, I got to see a more goofy side of Chris Brown that I just don't think we ever get to see. We always get to see Chris Brown. He's always kind of like, giving us this more like thuggish thing, which I will admit I don't really care for that, because I just don't like that. He's like, I mean, it's like, it's so funny because like, have you seen Cabbage Patch Kids?
No.
Like the dolls?
Yes.
Okay. When I look at Chris Brown, what I see is like a Cabbage Patch doll that someone just like took a marker and drew all over the face of. Like, Chris Brown will always look, because Chris Brown will always look like Run It, Chris Brown. In my mind, that's all I'm ever gonna see is Run It.
We really are parents if we see this artist as the like young teenager. Yeah.
I will always see him as Run It Chris Brown. So when I look at him, all I see is like someone took like a Sharpie and colored all over their Cabbage Patch Kid. So when he does that whole like thuggish thing, I really just cannot get into it. But this
I've seen that.
Yeah.
I noticed some of that, but again, same thing with Katy Perry. I don't even think I have any of his new songs. I think Residuals is the only song that I've recently downloaded by Chris Brown. But other than that, the one song I listen to a lot by Chris Brown is New Flames. New Flames. I don't know if there's an S at the end of that. But what's the other one with him? Future, August, Hold You Down. That's another song. Other than that, I can't think of anything that I just play or forever. I don't listen to it. It's crazy how unplugged I am. Like, my opinion behind Chris Brown, do I think that his abusive past is going to follow him? I think it's going to follow him wherever he goes until he's in the grave. It's going to follow him in the grave, unfortunately.
It's been almost 20 years. That was like 15 years ago.
And not
even 15 years ago. That was like 13, 12, 13 years ago.
It's still a fresh wound for anybody that's been abused by a man. Like, there's going to be people that just discover Chris Brown and they're going to bring it up once they do their research and dig. I mean, it's just like how you mentioned Coco Jones, Victoria Monet. I'm just now hearing about these artists, and not because I just am closed-minded to new music, but because I'm so unplugged. I'm working, I do this, I do that. So listening to new music all the time. And I've been trying to like get more into the J-pop, K-pop community, like where I'm actually like learning the songs and learning how to speak the Japanese language so I'm singing the songs correctly with the lyrics. So discovering new artists and stuff like that, people that they're new to me, but they're old to you. So I feel like, yeah, I wrote this down on my sticky note, but it was like a question for myself, like, is his abusive past going to follow him? It's going to follow him till the day he dies, because people are going to discover Chris Brown for the first time a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years ago. We knew about Chris Brown, but people were just discovering him 10 years ago. So it's like, unfortunately, it is going to follow him. Now, I do separate him from his music because I just can't get jiggy with it. I mean, yeah, I get it. He was young. However, I experienced abuse in my first relationship with the father of my child. So for me, it's always going to be a touchy topic. That's why, like, the thing that made me bring it up for a topic for us to discuss is because there was a video. I don't remember what interview this was. I just saw a quick snippet and then kept scrolling on about my day. But Rihanna was talking, and whoever was interviewing her, I don't remember who it was. I know it was a woman, but I do not remember who specifically. And it might be the documentary that you mentioned. But she asked Rihanna if she asked her a question. And because Chris Brown said something to the police, I guess when the police got there, or in the police report, it says that Chris Brown said, well, she said this and she was about to hit me, like she was trying to do this and that, and that's why I hit her and stuff like that. And Rihanna's like, no, I did not hit him. So I'm just thinking, like, yeah, I get what you're saying. I do. I get what you're saying. In court, he may have been held, he may have felt the need to be held responsible. But here's where I'm about to twist it in a way that's going to really have you like, well, dang. Because think about it like this. The father of my child has mentally just taken all the life out of me for the longest, because he's always tried to, I guess, hold an iron fist, like try to show like he has some form of power over my life. He can control something because he cannot control his own life. Has he ever been held in court to the point where a judge or an attorney or police has gotten involved and said, you need to stop, you need to chill out and focus on your kid? No. So for the longest, because I did not speak up, for the longest, he got away with things that no man really should get away with. He said things, he's done things. When I mentioned on the last episode that he called me a loser in front of our 11-year-old child, that was not the first or last time. Well, it's the last time now, because he'll never get to speak to me alone again. But that was the last time that he got to get some form of verbal abuse out. It's always been his thing. He's always tried to find a way to get us alone so he can talk nasty, so he can say things that he know he will not say in a court of law, in front of anybody, he wouldn't say it in front of nobody but his child, because his brain is not telling him that he's going to get in trouble, because I allowed it to happen for so long. So from my perspective, I'm sitting here listening to like that episode or that video snippet of someone asking, well, did Rihanna, did you ever, my phone went off for a split second. It was Janaya stuff. But so when this interview took place and she's like, well, Chris Brown said that you did this. Basically, you antagonized him and therefore he retaliated and you hit him first or blah, blah, blah. And she's like, no, that's not what happened. But then in court, he's like, I take full responsibility. I'm guilty. Okay. Same thing happened to me and the father of my child. So when it's just me and him, he got nasty. He gets nasty. He calls me names. He's called me the B word before over the phone. One time he tried to record me while I was crying to try to take it to court and stuff like that. And it's like, you got away with a lot of crap when we were younger, and we were younger. So I let a lot of that stuff slide, because I'm like, one day you're going to really suffer the consequences of your actions, because you're going to keep doing it because you think you're invincible. Whole time we get in front of a judge and the judge is like, you know what, bro, you got all these emotions tied to whatever, get over it. And he got it, but he didn't fight back. He didn't say anything. He didn't do anything. He didn't retaliate. Nothing happened. So it's like, that's where my perspective comes in, like, I'm going to listen to his Chris Brown songs, but you're not going to see me. But he's not going to care. Chris Brown's still making money. I just saw a post on Twitter saying that Chris Brown is like, him and Nicki Minaj are the most hated people on the internet, but they're the most loved in real life. And I was like, oh, it's crazy because it's true.
I think the reason why that is, though, and let me tell you something, what you're not going to get out of me is I'm no Barb, okay? I'm not a Barb.
Not anymore.
No.
We're not a son anymore. We decided to make it. Okay, guys.
I'm a brat.
Okay.
Hottie.
I was going to say, we're going to give you guys a formal announcement. We have stepped down from being Nicki Minaj's sons. We're not going to be Onika's sons anymore. Am I going to still listen to Itty Bitty Piggy? Yes. Am I going to still listen to Roman's Revenge? Absolutely. Am I going to still listen to Save Me? Of course. Moment for Life? I wish I could have had all those other moments before this moment with her and Meg. Megan.
Let me make it very clear. She's going on a second North American tour. I didn't go to the first one, but that was fresh off of the whole like beef. Fresh off. So I was like, I'm sorry, gonna have to boycott Nicki, and I went to go see Meg. So I drew a line in the sand. But let me tell you something. Nicki Minaj is a part of she's a part of my I feel like Nicki Minaj raised me. Nicki Minaj is my stepmom.
And
I'm not her son, I'm her stepson.
Yeah.
So I have to go see her. I have to go see it. I am planning to go see Nicki Minaj. Okay.
Unofficially, we're not the sons.
No. I'm definitely I excommunicated myself from that family.
Okay. Yeah.
Moved out. I'm done. Moved out. Not doing that. However,
but you visit for holidays.
Visitation.
Yeah. You visit for holidays and family dinners and things like that.
Yeah, I went and see Meg, and I loved it. I loved Meg. Meg was great. Amazing show. Great. And I went and saw Meg at her second tour date. And it was great. I mean, there were some difficulties, but it was her first headlining stadium tour.
Yeah.
International tour. She's currently overseas right now doing the second leg, or her international aspect of her tour. So I mean, she's killing it. I had to go see it, and it was great. I would be a fool, and the reason why I've decided to go see Nicki Minaj, even though I have my feelings, and I'll tie this back to what I was going to say earlier. I had an opportunity to go see Beyonce, and I am very fearful that opportunity was probably my last one.
Oh yeah, she might not be coming back outside.
She may not. I mean, she released an album. We didn't even get visuals for it, and I'm like, we didn't get visuals for Renaissance, but we got a tour. So that was kind of
the visual baby,
right? So we got a film.
Wait a minute, did we even watch the? Wait a minute, have we even watched? Oh my god!
No, ma'am, we're not doing this right now. No, we're not doing this right now. No, ma'am.
Okay.
Anywho, I miss Beyonce. I'm not gonna miss Nicki Minaj. Okay, not gonna do it. I'm gonna go see her now.
Not on my wall.
With that being said, what I was going to say, because you made a statement about how Nicki Minaj and Chris Brown are some of the most hated people on the internet. However, in the real world, they are very, very loved. The reason why that is because the internet has this ability to lock in on whatever they want to lock in on. They can read an article that has no facts in it. It has nothing, and that is their opinion. And when I was talking about earlier about how people, read what they read, see what they see, and then that's where they base their opinions on. That's why it irritates my soul, because that's how the internet behaves. They see a headline. They don't even read the article. They'll see a headline of something, and that's just as much fact information that they have received from that, and they go with that, and they have arguments and conversations, and it bothers me. And that's why Nicki Minaj and Chris Brown are some of the most hated people on the internet, because they have controversies. Nicki Minaj is married to a sex offender.
Oh boy, that's your man.
Yeah, I'm a single dad. But a lot of people don't even know why a lot of people don't even know that situation, what made him a sex offender. Not that it matters, or not that it will make a difference. But what I'm saying is people saw that she was married to a sex offender. That's the headline. You know what I'm saying? And then they're sex offender. America sees sex offenders as bad, therefore she is married to a criminal.
Yeah.
Nobody knows the situation. And like I said, not that it matters, but that's what happens. And that's why Chris Brown, because of his situation, that, and to answer your question, it is going to follow him for the rest of his career because it already has.
Yep.
Nobody, when you think of Chris Brown, you think of the incident with him and Rihanna. That's what happens. Mm-hmm. And that's because the situation was so spun out of control, and there was interviews. Granted, Rihanna didn't interview about it and didn't talk about it for the longest time. I think the first interview that she did about it, where she actually like talked about it, was with Oprah. But
maybe that's what the snippet that I saw.
I think it was when you were talking about it. I think it was because she was probably like really tearful, and they were like on a beach. I think they were in Barbados. But I watched that interview, and you know, I think that's when I really, really fell in love with Rihanna, just because of her strength from that situation.
Heck
because I think one of the reasons why a lot of times people really feel strongly about those kind of situations is because sometimes it does break a woman, and we lose women because of stuff like that. Like, not like lose them, but we lose like womanhood from situations like that. And Rihanna really, you know, held her head up high from that situation, and she owned up to her part of the situation. Because the way that I view it, and this is my perspective mainly, probably because I'm a male, so not to diminish anybody or diminish anyone else's situation, but I think the reason why I view the situation the way that I view it is because I feel like the both of them just kind of came together and said, we both had a lot of emotion, and our emotions ran really, really high, and we both did really dumb things because I think they both really, really loved each other. And I think that if that incident hadn't happened, they'd probably still be together today. I think that they really, really loved each other. And I think they will always have a love for each other, even despite all the stuff, because even to this day, I mean, Rihanna, I don't think she'll ever even comment on Chris Brown or Chris Brown's situations. I don't think she'll ever talk about it because I think she's just like, we're done with that. I wish the internet and the world would kind of follow suit too and be like, you know what, we're done with that. Like, let the man live, let the man, you know, go on about his day. You know, he's had incidents outside of Rihanna. Because you brought up Karrueche.
That's what he says in the song. Just let me ride. Don't make me say your name, girl. Gooch.
I can't.
Just let me ride.
He had incidents with her, granted, and not to like, you know, be this like, you know, marauder for Chris Brown or anything like that, but he did not, you know, physically abuse her. I definitely think that he was very, you know, abusive towards her in a different aspect. I will agree with that. I don't know if that had to do with like, you know, a woman versus man type situation. I think that he just, you know, I was saying earlier about celebrityism. I think a lot of times they really, really are like detached. And I think when he met Karrueche, people, I don't think people even know who Karrueche is or where she came from. That's the thing, is because she was nobody. I mean, not nobody, but she wasn't a celebrity. She was like an Instagram model, or she was like some girl on Instagram that he really liked, and he met up with her, and they like really, really had like a whirlwind relationship, a whirlwind romance, if you will. And I think, and this is just pure speculation, I think what happened with that situation is she probably made him feel like a normal guy, but he probably made her feel like a star. Because when he was with Karrueche, I mean, it was kind of similar to how like when Kanye West was dating Amber, what's her last name?
Amber Rose.
Oh,
I miss her and Wiz Khalifa being together.
Nobody knew who Amber Rose was. And then when Kanye West got with Amber Rose, suddenly it was Kanye and Amber. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of what happened with Chris Brown and Karrueche. It wasn't just Chris Brown is dating his model girlfriend. It was Chris Brown's dating this girl, Karrueche, that we're suddenly obsessed with, and here's her backstory, and here's her whole lore, and here's her whole life, you know, from where she came from. Like, people fell in love with Karrueche from dating Chris Brown. So I think they fell in love with each other for similar reasons. She fell in love with Chris Brown because he was a star. I think he fell in love with her because she was a normal girl. And
she's beautiful.
She's a gorgeous girl. I love Karrueche. I still love Karrueche. I just think that those two things came together, and then when they kind of were like, the way I wish I can like put it into words the way that I'm visualizing it. I'm just visualizing it's like, you know how like the solar eclipse. You know how like the moon is like suddenly crossing over the sun, and then when it finally like goes over the sun, it's like, okay, it's made a perfect circle. But then when it passes, it like the sun breaks through, and then it's starting to change into something different. That's how I view like Chris Brown and Karrueche's thing. And
well, even though we find them a very beautiful couple, does it make you feel strange that the next woman that he ends up having a child with, she looks just like Karrueche almost?
Not at all. Yeah,
similar.
I think that he loved Rihanna. I think that he was in love with Karrueche.
Ooh. You know wait, no, because he went to a game with Rihanna while dating Karrueche.
Oh yeah, no. Did you hear what I said? I said I think he loved Rihanna, but I think he was in love with Karrueche. There's a difference. Girl, I love you, but I am not in love with you.
Ooh.
You know what I'm saying?
How in the world do you make that make sense?
Okay. I love food. I'm not in love with food, but I love food. Mm-hmm. I'm in love with friendship. I'm in love with, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's levels. Like, I love my mom. I'm not in love with my mom.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, I think he loved Rihanna. I think Rihanna, like, really helped him feel like a man. Because he was like the man. Because Rihanna was well sought out at that time. Everyone wanted to be with Rihanna. She was gorgeous. She was beautiful. She was successful. She was a great singer. I mean, she was everything. And then Chris Brown got her, and he was like the guy. Like, they were like the couple. I think he was in love with her. I think he was more in love with the idea of what him and Rihanna were. I think with Karrueche, he fell in love with the person that Karrueche is. He fell in love with the idea of Rihanna. He fell in love with the person that is Karrueche. If I can make that.
I get so tired of that.
That's my take on the whole Chris Brown thing. I love Chris Brown. I'm not going to argue with anyone about how they feel about Chris Brown. I think everyone should feel how they want to feel about Chris Brown. I just wish people would give Chris Brown a little bit more grace, like they do some people in their lives that they know make mistakes and do things. And because I think out of a lot of celebrities, especially a lot of male singer celebrities, he gets a lot of flack, but I think he gives us authenticity that we don't normally get. Like, I would say, like, on a list of people who give us like authenticity, I think the person on the list next to him would be like Usher. Mm-hmm. Like, I think Usher has shown us who he is his entire career.
Yeah. See, now I have questions because it makes me wonder. Chris Brown has Karrueche in one of his other songs. It's in a music video. I think it's Autumn Leaves or something like that. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-mm. Is it Autumn? Yeah, it's Autumn Leaves. Chris Brown has a Karrueche in that music video. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm saying. Like, so when you said that, I was like, ooh, that's deep. Like, Chris Brown probably was ultimately in love.
I think
he was in love. That's a really good observation. See, okay, unfortunately, I still don't like him, but I mean, it is what it is. Let me rephrase. Let me put it in a way that's respectable, right? Okay. I don't have any respect for Chris Brown. I have respect for his music and his art.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah, like if Chris Brown if he wants to get a snippet of this and then say like, you know what, I want to reach out and talk to you all, I'd be like, okay, what's up? Let's talk. And he's like, well, you said that. I'm like, yeah, but your art's wonderful. You're a great artist. I don't see anybody else surpassing you. And then that's how I feel about you. And that's it. I feel like he'd be like, you know what? I think that would help. I think if he hurt, I think that he needs to, because I'll look at like some of the comments. Didn't you see something here recently about somebody trying to impersonate him and he just went off saying like, he's going to slap this guy. Like, we're trying to be like me, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Did you see that? Yeah, that's why I'm like, Chris, what is it? Is it the cocaine? What is it? Why are you so angry? Why are you so angry, sir? And then it's like, at first, just so you guys are aware, when we first started the podcast, I was very hesitant about talking about things that I normally would talk about, but I don't want to talk about, if that makes sense.
I'm so proud of you.
Stop.
I'm so proud of you.
But the reason
you really opened up on this podcast, and I love it. Honestly, I do, because it's like, before I felt like, I literally felt like I was having like no shade, girl. I don't mean to be shady.
Oh boy.
I don't mean to be shady, but I'm gonna be honest on the podcast, okay?
Say it.
In some previous episodes, I would say earlier episodes, I felt like I was having some conversations by myself.
Well, because I wasn't opening up.
I know. And now I feel like we are having a conversation. It doesn't feel like I'm having a conversation and then like you're like, because before I felt like it felt more like an interview. Like I would talk about something and then you would like ask some questions, which was great. But now we're like having a conversation, we're having discourse. And I love that, because I think what a lot of people would benefit from is hearing two people having a difference of opinion and navigating a conversation without it being something that's so offensive. Because I'm not offended. You have every reason. Like, I'm sure a lot of women would defend their position on for not having good feelings about Chris Brown. I respect that. My only thing that I ask people to do in general, not women, not men, just people in general, is have some grace and do your research. Because I think if people would have done a lot of research and looked into what actually happened and heard about what actually happened and hear both accounts, I don't think that people would feel as strongly as they do. And that's the only thing I'm asking for, is because people will die on hills about things that they know nothing about.
Yeah, that's the part where I'm gonna slide to the left. I'm not gonna die on, like, this conversation will come and go, as does life. But I'm not gonna sit up here and die on the hill that I don't like Chris Brown. No, I'm not doing any of that. No, I'm looking at YouTube. I'm realizing that I actually have way more songs in my phone by Chris Brown. Like, don't judge me. That music video,
he did a lot of features. Like, Chris Brown for like probably a good 3 or 4 years. I don't even think he like put out music for a good 3 or 4 years. I think he was literally just like features on people's songs. So people were like, I don't have music by Chris Brown. I'm like, yeah, you don't have music that's by Chris Brown, but you have music with Chris Brown in it, because Homeboy was on everybody's hook. I mean, from like probably like 2013 to like 2017, I think that's all he did was just like hooks for people.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Then he was like, okay, you know what? That honestly probably was like the smartest thing that he could do. Well, mainly because he did go to prison for a little bit. For like some dog fight. Oh, girl, did you? Oh, Lord, am I really gonna have to do this right now on the podcast?
Oh my God! Well, we haven't even touched on Celine Dion. We have to do this on another episode.
Okay, yeah, we're done. We have to do Celine Dion. We have to do Celine Dion.
Okay. All right.
We're done with Chris Brown. Yeah, we're done with Chris Brown. We're done. Sorry, Chris Brown. Love you to pieces. We will come back to this another time. But we have got to get to Celine Dion, because
you gotta tell us.
Celine. Okay.
Tell us.
So I'm gonna be vulnerable here on the podcast. I'm gonna be honest here on the podcast.
Finally, no, I'm just kidding.
Okay, goodbye. Goodbye. I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be vulnerable. Okay. We can talk about Beyonce. We can talk about Rihanna. We can talk about Nicki Minaj. We can talk about Megan Thee Stallion. We can talk about Lil Kim. We can talk about all kinds of people. We can talk about a lot of people, and I can give you names of songs, albums, interviews, We talk about Celine Dion. That is not something that I can do for this woman. I don't know the music. Okay, I gotta silence this. Hold on, sorry. That's just not something that I can do for Celine Dion. Unfortunately, like, that music, that genre of music, just was not ever really like exposed to me. Do I know music by her? Could I do a karaoke version of one of her songs? Absolutely, because some of her music is just really, really popular, and of course I've heard it, and of course I know it. But Celine Dion as a person, no, I don't know that woman. Sorry, for those who don't know, I had to really get through that little intro there. For those who do not know, Miss Celine recently, oh my God, I am so sorry. I have a group chat with some people that I play like sports with, and they are like, I don't know how to silence it on my laptop.
I can't hear anything.
Okay, great. So Miss Celine has put out a documentary called I Am Celine. And I had heard some good things about it, and I heard like people talk about, it's really heartfelt. And I was like, I know from what I do know about Celine Dion is she's a very intense woman, like in the best way that you can think of intensity. Like she is an intense woman. She feels intensely. She performs intensely. Like she is an intense, passionate woman. I knew that much about her.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I haven't watched anything. And when I watched this documentary, after I watched it, I saw there was like a lot of documentaries. I was like, okay, I need to really like get into this woman, I guess. And so I was like, let me watch this documentary. I found it on Amazon. I was like, I'll watch it. I had nothing to do that night. I was like, I just told someone the other day, I was like, I've been meaning to watch it. I need to watch it. I watched it. It was probably, and I've watched a lot of documentaries about a lot of celebrities. It was probably, I would watch this one over and over again. It was so refreshing to see someone who is so passionate about something. Unfortunately, like, I'm not going to spoil the documentary for anybody, but she talks a lot about her condition. And for those who don't know, Celine Dion has been diagnosed with stiff person syndrome. If you don't know about it, then join the rest of the world, because it's it's a very, very, very rare condition. Very few people have it. Very few people get diagnosed with it in a lifetime. It's extremely rare. And it just so happens one of the best vocalists in the world gets it. And it's so unfortunate. Now, throughout the documentary, I mean, I don't know if anyone, I don't know if any of the listeners here know what stiff person syndrome or have done the research, but it's pretty much like having a seizure and then getting stuck in that seizure. Like, the best way that I can kind of alliterate it for people is, for those who've maybe experienced a little bit of sleep paralysis. For those who don't know what sleep paralysis is, we'll do a quick little science lesson. Sleep paralysis is where you're sleeping, and for those who are not aware of sleep cycles and stuff like that, when you're sleeping, your body is kind of like on autopilot. It's breathing on its own. Like, you probably don't notice, but your body, when it comes to breathing, is pretty much on autopilot because when have you stopped and realized, oh my God, I've been breathing for 3 hours and I haven't had any control over it. You know what I'm saying?
That scares me sometimes. I'm not even going to lie.
Okay. That's what happens when you sleep. Your body just takes over and it does something on autopilot, and it's breathing for you. You don't have to think about it. That's why you can turn your brain off. You can go to sleep. However, you don't turn your brain off. Your brain is still active. And sometimes some things can happen, whether it be a dream or something that jolts you out of your sleep. Sometimes it will, your brain will kind of like kickstart back up. Your brain is like kind of on like shutdown mode, like on your computer. Like when your screensaver comes on and then you just kind of swipe your little mouse and then, oh, there it is. That's like what your brain does when you're sleeping. So when you, metaphorically speaking, when something kind of flicks your mouse, your brain wakes up. However, your body is still asleep. And so what it feels like when you're having sleep paralysis is that you can't control your breathing. And so when you're breathing, let's all do this together. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. So imagine that feeling, but you're not controlling it.
Oh, that's scary.
Imagine you're taking a deep breath in and then taking a deep breath out, but you're trying to like control that breath and you can't. So imagine when you feel the breath leaving your body, how much anxiety that would give you.
Oh my gosh.
Losing your breath. That's sleep paralysis, y'all. You're welcome. I'm here all week.
Oh my God. Why did you have to? Oh God. Ooh.
Well, I suffer from sleep paralysis, so I am very knowledgeable about sleep paralysis. But
I didn't
that's
know
the only
that.
way. Yeah, I have sleep paralysis. It doesn't happen too bad much anymore. Only when I'm like really, really stressed, I get it. And usually when I'm napping, if I want to like take a nap is when I get it the most. Like if I'm going to sleep for the night, I usually don't get it. But a nap time can be 50-50 sometimes. But anywho, it's not that bad anymore. I really don't feel any way about it. I've actually really come to peace with it, and it's fine. But anywho, that's the only way I can describe stiff person syndrome, is because that's what it looked like. Because she had a seizure. Oh, I'm jumping ahead. Oops. Oh well. Okay. Documentary. Fabulous documentary. She said something on the documentary, and it really stuck with me because it's powerful, and I'm going to share it with you guys today. She said something that was like, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together.
That's
and
right.
What I took from that was, if you want to throw caution to the wind, not be afraid of crashing and burning, and just want to live in the moment, then do that by yourself. Don't bring people along. Don't string along people to go on this crash course with you. Go alone, because that's what it is. Because you're going to go down a road of destruction. You're going to go down something that's going to last 5 minutes. It's not going to be something that's going to be substantial. Do it alone. And if you don't care about longevity, do it alone. If you don't care about the long haul, if you don't care about the end result being something magnificent and worthwhile, then go alone. If you want something that's going to be worth it, if you want something that's going to be magnificent, something that's going to matter for years to come, work as a team, because that's the only way you're going to be able to do it. That's the only way you're going to be able to do it. She said that as a metaphor for working as a team, with her team of people who work on like her looks and her red carpet looks and her red carpet stuff and her tours. Like, she was like, I need these people. These people are not they're not my workers. They're not my coworkers. She's like, this is my family. And she was like, I would have never in a million years made it to this place. If I traveled this road a million times, the one time that I ever would have made it to this destination is if I went with a team, and the team that I got is like the perfect team. And I loved that, because I feel like a lot of times as young people, we kind of like take life by the horns, and you know, a lot of people have adopted this mindset that, like, you know, I got to do this by myself. I got to do this myself. And I respect it, because I think a lot of people do need to have a journey that is a solo journey to really learn about themselves. But I think when it comes to looking back in your life and what that could be, I think you would have more respect for the journey if you realize that the people you had along with you were people that you selectively you chose those people to go along on this journey. You chose those people to be a part of your life because they brought something to the table, not just for you, not just for your partner, but for everyone involved. Like, that's what family is we're doing this for the betterment of everyone that's sitting at our table.
Yeah.
Not just myself and not just you, the one person that I respect out of everybody. It's for everybody. And that was really powerful for me, because I think a lot of times, like, when it comes to like looking at life, I'll say for me, I'll be honest, we're gonna be vulnerable on the podcast. Let me take a drink. Hold on. I've been complaining a lot about feeling very lonely. I have felt very, very lonely, and like there was a day where like things just were like kind of not panning out the way that I wanted them to, and I think I just have relied too heavily on like partnership, you know, like, unfortunately I don't have like, I in a perfect world, like every single person that I consider a friend, I wish that we could all be like one group and we would always just do everything together. That's just not how my life works, unfortunately. I have a lot of subgroups, you know. I have a group of friends that have been like my friends since childhood and have been like my ride or dies and will be my ride or dies no matter what. Like, that's my blood, you know. And then I have friends that I do certain hobbies with, and then I have friends from work, and then I have friends, different little groups. And there was just one day where like I was like texting people, and I was expecting people to like let me know if they were going to be able to do something, and I ended up like, this is going to sound so sad, but I ended up like just driving around alone, and I felt I don't know, the feeling of loneliness makes me like ridiculously uncomfortable. Like, makes me want to crawl out of my skin. And that is probably going to be so rich coming from me, because I do everything alone. Like, I'll go eat out by myself. I'll go to a movie by myself. I like being alone. I don't mind being alone. There's a difference between being alone and then loneliness. Because loneliness, I think, is yearning for a partnership and it's not available. When you're alone, you're choosing that for yourself. When you're feeling lonely, you would rather do anything with anyone else and not be alone. Yeah. You know, it's a difference. And I don't think there have been a lot of times in my life since I've been an adult that I've had to really like grapple with coping with being alone. Now, you as someone who follows me on my socials, my friends make fun of me for it all the time because they're like, we know when you're like upset or when you're feeling something because you post selfies.
Oh, so, wow.
They were like, anytime you're feeling something, they're like if I like, because how often do I post on Instagram? I don't even know if you know, because I know you're not really like plugged into like social media like that, but I like, I wouldn't say rarely, but I have spurts.
Yeah.
Like, I'll have a moment where I'll like post like 4 or 5 days worth of like selfies on Instagram, and then I'm like off for like another month. And my friends make fun of me for it all the time because they're like, okay, either that situation just ended, or, you know, he had a fight with his family, or he's feeling a little depressed, because that's what I do. I try to channel it into something creative, because if we're going to be honest on the podcast, I'll be honest on the podcast, I don't like feeling it. I don't like feeling it.
We need to unpack that. I hate the very
feeling
soon.
Of loneliness. Yeah, I don't like the feeling, but I've learned that if I can channel it into something, I don't have to carry the burden like on my chest anymore. Like, I've placed it somewhere else, and then when I press send on Instagram, I don't know, for some reason that's just what it does for me. It's like I take the pressure off my chest, I put it into my phone camera, I take some snaps, and then when I press send, it's like, okay, now that situation is no longer on me. It's on that photo. And it's so funny because I can literally go through my Instagram right now and I can tell you exactly my mindset. Like, there's one set of pictures, for example, that probably has gotten the most likes, and I'm like, people do not even know like how dark of a place I was in when
you posted that. That is great. And this is all from just the quote that you got from the Celine Dion. And what is the title of the documentary?
I am Celine.
I am Celine. So that quote, and it just it took you. See, that's the thing. That is the thing that I love the most about being creative, is that we really do. I feel like creatives, we're just genetically built different. And before because we're gonna wrap it up, and we're gonna have some conversations off the mic. You know, we're gonna shut it down. But at the end of the day, it's like these conversations is what made me feel the need to create the podcast. And like, because I want people to understand, like, you're not alone. Like, yeah, there's comments and conversations on social media, but you might need to hear it verbally that this is a very common thing. The way you feel about XYZ, or how you interpret things, or how you compartmentalize things, and then you put it back out into the world, it's a reflection of a pain or something, a burden that you've carried for so long, or a pain that you felt here recently. Like, it's crazy that a quote from a documentary has given you this, like, I don't even say it's a revelation. Does it feel like a revelation to you? Like, it's something that you've learned about yourself?
It feels more like it kind of like confirms my values, because I value friendship, I value partnership, I value camaraderie, and I know now why. So deep. Because I know, and I think that's more so the part of the creative soul that I appreciate, is that, like, a lot of people will go through this world and they'll meander through this world and they'll see things for surface, but I think a creative person can look between the lines and find a real good meaning, a deeper understanding of something. And a lot of people get a lot of flack for that, because they think that people are pulling things out of thin air, and it's like, honey, you're a part of a whole different conversation, babe. Sweetheart. Me and you are on the same phone line, but we're having two different conversations.
Two different. That's, you know what? Ooh,
that's what it is.
Let me wrap it up with this, a little tidbit. I hope you guys have followed through this whole conversation because this was pretty good to me. Based on how we've started and how we're working our way through this creative journey, this was a really good conversation in my opinion. I feel sad. I'm going to sleep like a baby. But just to give you guys a little tidbit from what he just said. So an example of what you just said. I was talking to the woman that gave birth to me. I don't even know why or what came about for this conversation or a mini conversation. I made a video and the idea came to me and I thought about making it. And then in that moment I made it, then I posted it. And she came up to me and she was like, where did you get that idea? Like, where did you find it on the internet? Did you Google it? Like, where did you? And I'm looking at her like, what? I said, I thought of it. I saw the idea in my head. And she's like, what? And so you're right. I'm telling you, like, and that is why I said, like, oh, okay. So just so y'all know, like, I'm already putting this up there, but we may not talk about this, but I feel like we need to talk about, like, why it's important for certain levels of creative souls to be in relationships, whether it's friendships or intimate or business partnerships with other creative souls. Because I'm telling you, the way she asked that question had me, like, flabbergasted for weeks. I was like, how does she not have ideas of her own to create stuff? Like, how do you not have that?
They don't.
Not in a judgmental way, but it was like, because the way she asked,
clearly, like, you were legitimately like, I there's no way for me to wrap my head around how this person cannot come to this conclusion on their own. Like I did. Yeah, I totally get it. I get it.
Oh, and the way she asked it, it came off like as what's the word I want to look for? It didn't come off as like a nice question. It came off as like a condescending question. Like, you didn't Google? Did you Google that? Like, where?
It's like when people are like, "Oh my god, that's so unique." It's like, get out! I will throw this microphone at you. Get away from me. A PSA, and I'm gonna stop talking after this. Don't tell people that. That is not a freaking compliment. Do not say that something that somebody does is unique. That is literally, I will. If you say that to me, I will punch you in the face.
Oh wee.
That is not a compliment. Do not tell someone, "Wow, that's so unique."
Yeah,
you know, it's really unique. The bruise I'm about to give you.
Ay. Oy, muy caliente. Ooh, you just went from 0 to 100. Hot.
I'm a passionate guy.
Yes. And you know what? That is why here at the Nelly Drayton Show podcast, passionate people, all right, make the best friends that you could ever have in your life. I was about to say something super big, and I was like, no.
I really thought you were about to eat that up.
It was like so mediocre.
So she was about to give us some poetry, and then you were like, friends. And I'm like, oh, she lost her train of thought.
I did. My daughter texted me.
Going.
Yeah,
you were something up and you lost it. I'm a creative. I know.
Yeah. See. And on that note, make sure you guys continue to tap into the Nelly Drayton Show podcast, available on all podcasting sites. I believe Amazon Prime, we're available on there as well. Now, YouTube, the RSS feed, if you know about that type of stuff, YouTube, for some strange reason, we're on there, but of course, it's only audio. We will be getting into visual episodes very soon. Just chill, give us some time to recoup, and we're definitely going to get back into it. Please tap into the listener support. It would be greatly appreciated, and we're looking to continue to grow in different ways. We have a lot of things that we're working out and conversations that we're having, and even something that we're trying to put together here soon that will actually come to the forefront of a certain part of Kentucky. So yeah, just be on the lookout for that. And again, stay connected with us at Nelly Drayton on Instagram and at LOL Probably Drew on IG as well. And I hope you guys liked it, loved it, and want more of it.